Hi, this is JP here, and in this tutorial we are doing WordPress, and it's a primer on WordPress, so I won't be totally building out a complete website for you. But the idea is that if you are new to WordPress or new to website making and you want to understand a little bit more about WordPress, then I'm pretty sure this video is going to help you a lot. I know it's getting closer to winter when my cat comes in from outside early morning and she's soaking wet from walking through the dew and the wet grass. And this is the time of the year where I'm not sure. Do I take out the heater? Yes or no? It's not that cold yet, but it is still chilly enough in the morning to warrant a blanket and some nice thick socks to keep your feet warm. I hope you are doing well during this crazy time of the world. That's why I share some beautiful artwork here on the screen. Not mine, but I'll leave a link for you in the description below from a guy on DeviantArt called Joey Jazz. Really love his art, and it's just something nice to appreciate during these times. So now is the best time to start learning more about making websites. Let's get kicking off. Your installation of WordPress will either be done by your host or on your local drive, something you need to figure out. Once you try to log into WordPress, you're going to get the login screen. And here my username is admin, and then I can type in my password, which is pass. No secret. If you want to get a hold of this page, be my guest. This is a complete new installation of WordPress. So hopefully everything I show you here is the same as it is on your site. The reason why I say hopefully, because sometimes between different hosts, they will install different things on your site. But you can try and copy everything I have here, set your site up the same, and you won't lose anything important in that process. When you come into WordPress, what you see here is the administration area. This is where you do admin, and this is where you do creation. This is, of course, not what a visitor to your website will see. That we call the front end. And to get to the front end, you go up here to the left corner where is the name of your site. If it's a vanilla install, it probably will say my blog, but it's usually here next to the house. If you click on that, it takes you to the front end. If you click again on it up here, it takes you back into the administration area, or we just usually say to the back end, to the front end and to the back end. Most of what you will be doing, though, is here on the left in the sidebar. This navigation sidebar contains most of what we will be using. There are a lot of things here that you'll never touch or only touch once in a blue moon. And as we need them, I'll show you to you. I'm not going to go through these like a parrot, like, oh, this is a post and here you can view all posts. And if you want to add a new post, you click here. Oh, and this is categories, and under that is tags. You can read. You have a hand, you have a cursor, you can hover over that yourself. So if you want to go check out everything there is to check out in WordPress, you can do it by yourself. But as we go through these tutorials, I will try and bring in everything, so by the end, you know what is what. I would say there is still around 50% of features in there that I hardly ever use. That's just how things evolve. At some point, you build up your own workflow. You need it or you don't need it. The first thing I want to talk about is probably the most confusing thing for anyone who comes to WordPress, and that is the concept of a theme. And to talk about themes, let's go to the theme area, and you will find it here in the navigation sidebar, appearance. And as you hover over it, the first one is themes. Click on that. You may have only one theme here, or you may have two, or you have maybe 3, 4, or 5. These are possible ways you can make your site look, and you need to activate the ones that you want to use. So why do you need a theme? Many other website creators online do not have this feature. And this is something that started with WordPress decades ago when they had started. And that was that initially WordPress exactly looked the same for everyone. If you wanted to run a blog on WordPress, it looked the same like the next guy sitting in the house just across the street and a guy thousands of miles away in another country. And then they brought in the concept of a theme. And a theme is like a skin. It's a style. It makes your site look different. So if I go to the front end again here and I click up there, you will see this is how my front end looks. There's a few components here that you can consider for your theme. The first one is this part up here, and that is called the header. Of course, in opposite to the header is this part down here. This is considered the footer. Then you have this area here, which we refer to as a sidebar. And then here you have your contents. But not only that. You also have things like the color. You see, where I hover over something that I can click, it is pink. And then I have this kind of font for my body text, and I have a different kind of font for my headings. All of these things are regulated by the theme in WordPress. If you've been playing with WordPress and you know a little bit more, you're going to tell me, I can use a page builder for that. Hey, just remember, this is a WordPress primer, so we are focusing on WordPress here. There are other tools out there that can enhance your WordPress building experience, but we're fixing on the foundations here today. So remember this. Let's go back into the back end. And before we continue back to themes, I just want to show you a few things that you have to teach yourself, because you are going to constantly go back and front. And to do that every time like this, and then go to appearance, themes, and you lose, and then you go to the front, and then you have to come back here, appearance, themes, it's just too many clicks. What we do is that we keep two tabs open. We keep one for the back and then one for the front. And to create that extra front tab within any browser, there are two ways you can do it. The first way is you can go up here where you clicked before, and then you click and hold. Don't just click, click and hold, and then drag it up here into the toolbars, and then drag it up here to the tabs and drop it, and it will open the front end like so. Or the one that I usually use, because I'm a big shortcut person, I love my keyboard, is you go up here and you hold Control on your keyboard if you're on Windows, Command on a Mac, hold it on your keyboard and click. And that will open a new tab with that page that you wanted to click on. So this is what we're going to do a lot in these tutorials, is that we will have two tabs open, sometimes more than two, and you can juggle between them. So this is front end. Remember, this is what visitors will see. This is the back end. This is where you do all the work. And currently we're looking at appearance and themes. If you look here, I've got two themes here that I can use. The first one is called 2020, and this is a default theme that WordPress gives you. When you install WordPress, 2020 is here and 2020 is active. If you hover over any of the other themes, you will see that it gives you the option to activate. So they are not active, they are dormant, or you can use them by activating them when you so want to. What will this change for my site when I activate this one? And now you have to think of what I mentioned. We talked about a header, we talked about colors, we talked about footers, we talked about fonts, we talked about the layouts. All of that will be regulated by the theme. If I go back and I activate this theme called 2019, and I go look now on the front end, you should see it looks different. But what I'll do is I'll go up here again and I'll hold Control and click, so it will open the second tab up here with this one, so that we can compare the two. And you see this is very, very, very different than this one. And that gives you an idea of what a theme's purpose is within WordPress. Again, word of caution here. Currently, there are tools that you can use to enhance WordPress for which you actually don't even need a theme. At the very end of the day, you do need a theme in WordPress. Let's go back to the back end, because these are the themes that come with WordPress, and they are super limited. I just don't like them at all. And if you are going to be building your site exclusively with WordPress, then you need a very good theme. I'll recommend a few in these tutorials, and the one that we will be using for this primer is called Astra. Astra is a super popular theme. Millions of people use it and they love it. So I can also highly recommend it to you. And if you want to know more about Astra, check in the description below. There's a link. You go to their website, have a look around. But before you buy anything, if you want to go pro, hold on, have a look at everything before you make those decisions. Everything I'm showing you here today is free. Don't worry when I use the word buy. Everything I'm showing you, you can do for free. How am I going to add this Astra theme to WordPress? Well, there's a clue up here. It says Add New. So if I click on Add New, it takes me into this library of WordPress online where they have thousands of themes from which you can choose. If I click, for example, up here on this filter, Latest, it will load 7,412. These are the latest themes. So you have all these developers that are sitting at home and they're making these great themes, come up with great ideas, and look at the variety, right? They are so diverse, and you can go through them, you can test them out. There are good themes, and there are many bad, or what should I say, themes that just don't work well. And that is the problem. Sometimes you're going to find a theme that fits you like a glove. Other times you're going to find a theme and you're going to work with it 90%. And when you get to that last 10, last 5%, it's going to drive you mad. And at that point, you're going to realize this theme, it's not for me. I need to change it. And that's why do your research, check online, check the videos we have here, and decide which themes work for you. But remember, we are looking at Astra. So where are we going to find Astra? Just go over here to search themes and we type in Astra, A-S-T-R-A, and it's going to search the WordPress repository. Very big word. So remember this, when I say the word repository, it means where WordPress puts everything, all their plugins, all their themes, everything that you can find is the WordPress repository. And you can access it here directly in WordPress. Over here I have the Astra theme, but this theme is now on the WordPress repository. It's not yet on my WordPress site. So to do that, I need to install it. And everything you do when you bring something into WordPress begins with installation, step 1. As I hover over it, you will see I have the option to install and preview. You can click on preview, go have a look if you want. I'm going to click on install. So go ahead, it will begin installing it. So this is step 1. Once the installation is done, it's going to give you the second step, which is activation. That will make the Astra theme then active and make 2019 dormant. But I'm not going to activate it yet. Let's just go back to our themes here, appearance, and click on themes so we can see our 3 themes that we have currently. So you remember we started with 2020, which was active. Then we had clicked on 2019 and we had activated it, and it looks like this one. And now we have installed Astra, but we've not activated it. Only one theme at a time can be active. I'm going to click on Activate Now. And you can see, thank you for installing Astra, blah, 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 blah. And if you don't want to see this message, you just click up here on the X. How will this make the front end different? Let's do that trick again. Go up here, hold Control Command on your keyboard and click, and it opens the 3rd tab. And this looks very different. So this was Astra, 2019, and 2020. We will be using this one. So I'm going to close out these two, 2019 and 2020, go to the back end. Because I know I'm very happy with Astra, I'm not going to use these two. I like to do housekeeping, and that means I'm going to delete them. I don't want them here. If you want to bring them back later, you go into the WordPress repository and you look for them, but I guarantee you, you're not going to do that. So how do we get rid of them? Click on 2019. And it opens a big preview or a big information area for that. And here in the bottom right-hand corner, click on Delete. It will ask you here, are you sure? Yep, I'm sure. And you do the same for 2020. Click on that. Delete. Okay. Once you have deleted that and you only have one theme left, it will have this big display. And you will notice the last theme does not have a delete option. Very important. You cannot delete the last theme. WordPress needs and works on a minimum of one theme. And that's it. You're not going to get around that. It's going to remain on one theme. So now I have my Astra, and this is the theme that I will be using. And currently, my front end looks like this. Let's go and create our homepage. Yeah, already we can do that. It's not rocket science. It's actually as simple as creating PowerPoint and you create your first slide. So what we want to do Instead of having this display when people come to my site, I want something else to display when people come to my site. Of course, the site that I'm creating. And to do that, I have to create a page which I want to be my home page. To create a page, the clue is here on the left in the sidebar where you see pages. And this is where you will be creating all your pages within WordPress. So if you have a home page, you'll create it here. Services page, you'll create it here. Think of slides within PowerPoint. A page on a website is a slide in PowerPoint. Interestingly enough, when you install WordPress, there are already 2 pages installed by default. What the and why? So go and click on all pages and let's have a look at these 2 pages. One is called the privacy policy and the other one is a sample page. We don't need these 2 and I wish there was a way that we could get rid of them and they don't install, but this is the WordPress way. Every time you have a default WordPress installation, it's going to appear here. So what I do, remember, I love housekeeping. I like things gone. I delete these pages. Actually, they are harmless. You can leave them there. They're not going to do anything to your site, but I just like them gone so they don't confuse me. And to do that, we trash them like you would do with garbage in your house. You can select them individually or click up here to select everything. Then go up to bulk actions, click on the drop down and select move to trash. So we take them to the trash can and then you click apply. Now, just like the trash in your house, though they are in the trash can, they have not been disposed of. So if you made a mistake and in the future you want to bring that trash back, you go here to the trash can. So you will see now there's an option up here for trash with 2. And that 2, those are the 2 pages that we had just trashed. So click on that and I want them gone for good. I can just simply click here on empty the trash and we've disposed of them. So go to pages now and click again on all pages and you will see no pages found. So we begin our own page from scratch. To do that, click on add new. And here you see add title. This is going to be the title, the name of your page that you are creating. In this primer, we're only going to create one page, and that's going to be our home page. And you can give it any name you want, but normally we just call it home. And then to make sure that this page has been saved, we say publish, and publish happens up here on this little blue button. If you click on publish, it gives you a second pre-publish check to make sure. Are you sure you want to publish this page? And the reason it asks you a second time is because once you click on this, this page is what I call to live, which means people online can access it. And if you are not 100% sure whether you want to do that, then you have this 2-step verification process. We're going to leave it, but then in future tutorials, I will deactivate it. I don't like these 2 steps. It's 1 step too much for me. But for now, we will leave it. So you click again, publish. And now it will say home is now live. And you can just click here to get to the settings when we start using that. This is then my home page now, right? So currently what I have here is just a title and no content. It says here start writing or type, and we're going to add all our content over here. How will this page look? And you do that by clicking here on the preview button, and that will show you how this page will look on the front end. Click on preview and you see it opens a new tab here in the browser, and now it says here home, the title of your page, and here is the sidebar on the right. So if we compare it to this one, you will see this one says hello world. It's got some content there, and this is the home page. Go to this one that says home. This is the page that we just created. And this is the page that we want people to access when they come to our site. Now, like on many websites, if you go up here to the header area, here is where you will put the logo. And currently it says my blog. Now, the function of this area is that it's like a quick home function. When people click on this one, it will take them to the home page. So to make sure that this is actually your home page, and I know that's a little bit confusing, bear with me, click on this one to see what happens. Strictly speaking, what you are expecting to happen is for this page to load again, right? Because this is my home page. But let's see. When I click on it, it loads the hello world and not my home page. So why is it not loading the home page I created? The answer to that is that actually WordPress is not that smart. WordPress doesn't know that this page that you had created is your home page. The words H or the letters HOME means nothing to WordPress. You could have called this home in another language. And how would WordPress know that this is the page you want to appoint and designate as the page for your home, so that when people come to your site, they can access it? This is sometimes a little difficult for people to get their head around the first time, but it is a step that you have to do each and every time you create a new site in WordPress. Let's close these two front-end tabs for now, and we go back to the back end. So we've created this home page. We go to Pages, click on All Pages, and you see over here we have created the home page, so we can access it in the future. But before we continue with that, now we are going to assign this page to display as the main page that will display when people come to our site. To do that, go to the navigation sidebar, all the way to the bottom, Settings, and you select this one called Reading. And you know, this confused me so much when I started with WordPress. Like, why am I doing this? Why is it even there? And the more you work with it, the better you'll get at that. So it's something that you have to get into your system. And the more you create sites, you'll begin to understand that this is a very important step: settings and reading. Then you see here, it says your home page displays. And currently it's set to your latest posts, which we are going to select a static page. And for my home page, I select here, and you see here is that page home that I had created. So select that and then save your changes. Now if I go up here and I control click and I open my front end, you will see it says home. Now my home page is set and I can begin to work. I'll close this, go to Pages, click on All Pages, and to begin editing my home page, click on Home. Before we build this out, a few things that we're going to quickly work at. WordPress and the theme are integrated and they talk to each other all the time. So some things you have to go set up in the theme, and we say you customize the theme. And to show you how that works, I'll build out a few things here first. When you see this up here, it says there is an autosave of this post that is more recent than the version below. Ignore it. We just cancel it out. To begin building out content here at the bottom, we use in WordPress what is referred to as a block. You can see here it says start writing or type to choose a block. A block is an element with certain features in it. You can have a paragraph, you can have heading, you can have an image. There are many types of blocks. To see how they look, you click here on the plus, and it will give you this list of blocks that you can use. Collapse it up here, and you will see here it says common blocks. Click on that, and you see there's a heading, a paragraph, an image, gallery, list, about 10 blocks that you can use for content. Then you have formatting blocks, layout elements, and these are all very useful in creating your page within WordPress. Let's have a look at how that plays out. Let's go to common blocks and we click here on heading. Select heading and type something in here. This is my first WordPress experiment. And click out here on the page, this white canvas area, to deselect that block that you've just worked in. So now you can see this is my first WordPress experiment. Update it up here and click on preview to see how it looks. Right, so now you begin to understand, very similar, right, to PowerPoint. You type something on a slide, then you go into presentation mode, and this is how it looks on the front end. Let's go back to the back, and now click to interact with this block. So you click on the block, to interact with it, and there are two areas of importance. Area number one is the options toolbar right above it. There are some features here. Then area number two is the options sidebar on the right, and there are some features there. It's a little confusing to me sometimes which ones are over here, which ones are over here, and sometimes they are very similar. We're going to look at what we call the heading designation. You will see here it says H2. So this H over here is because we are using a heading block. This H2 is the level of the heading. If you think of a list, you know your main heading is at the top, and then you have a subheading and another subheading. Your main heading in the world of website design is called H1. If I put that on H1, you will see it gets bigger. Now H1 we rarely use on the page because H1 is reserved for the title of the page. And the title of this page is Home. The theme by itself will assign H1 to the title of the page. So we don't really like to use H1 on a page. There's nothing wrong with it. You can, but in many cases we don't. So let's have a look at how H2, H3, H4, and H5, and of course H6 will look. We can bring in a second block here for heading, but what we'll do is we'll just duplicate this one. Click to interact with the block, go to these three dots, and select duplicate. And now we have two of these blocks. Click on this one at the bottom, and just here in the settings over here, you can put it on H2, or you can select H2 from here. I'll select H2 here in the options sidebar. We duplicate this one and put it on H3, duplicate, H4, duplicate, H5, and duplicate H6. So now you see that we have created heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and they look a little bit different. If you want to have a paragraph, we can call it paragraph, and in the world of WordPress and most themes, we call it your body text. It's your main text in your body. You bring in another block for that, not the heading block, but the paragraph block. Click here on the plus to bring in the block, and then go to common blocks and look for paragraph. You see this one over here. We'll bring in some random text here. We like to use random text in graphic design, and the same for website design. When you are building a site at the beginning and you don't have your content ready, you just use some random fake text. What we use very often is a text called lorem ipsum. And if you have never heard of this, I'll show you a little bit. And once I've shown you, you're going to see that everywhere lorem ipsum pops up. Lorem ipsum is random text that you can use, and it's Latin text. So hopefully, and that's the argument, it doesn't offend anyone, and it kind of seems meaningless. To get the lorem ipsum text, you can go online and just type lorem ipsum. You're going to find it everywhere. I use a website called loremipsum.io because it has a nice little generator. So let's go here, open a new tab, and I'll type in loremipsum.io. Enter. And you see here is the lorem ipsum text. This is very standard placeholder text that we use. Because it's the same text over and over, you can generate more paragraphs from lorem ipsum. So I like to click here on generate 5 more paragraphs or 5 paragraphs, and then I have some more text to play with. And then I can copy this, take it back to the front end and paste it there. So we want to bring in some paragraph text. So I'll just grab an entire paragraph here and then copy, right-click copy, go back here, click there until you see the cursor blinking, and now you're going to paste it. Right-click and select paste. If you're on Windows, use Control-V. That's my shortcut key. If you're on a Mac, it's Command-V. And there you have your paragraph text. Click here on the canvas to deselect everything. Now we just look at our document. You see, this is our heading 1. And as I hover over it, you will see up here, there's a little tag, a little label that tells us heading. This is a heading block. And then over this one, paragraph block. Let's update it and let's go and see how it looks on the front end. Before I do that, this is the one that we had opened earlier. If I go back here, when I click on update, you will see that this one is quickly going to update by itself. I don't have to click preview again. Let's click update, go to the front end, and now we have our page as we had created it. Question: why does this page look different than this page? This is one of the things about WordPress. In the days gone by, when you created a page here in the back end, it does not display exactly the same on the front end. And we call this a back-end developer, which means you type here in the back and how it displays on the front is kind of a surprise. WordPress has come a very, very long way, and this process has been streamlined and it gets much better. The result is, though, that when you are working in WordPress, you are constantly going to flip between back and front, because what you do here will look a tad different as to what it would look here on the front. And that is why you will have to gauge and go back and forth for that. So remember this. This is one of those things that it doesn't look exactly the same like it would on the front end. So you have to check and cross-check all the time. And now I want to talk to you about how the theme integrates with this page creator we have here, which we refer to as the WordPress editor. Why is heading 1 this big? Why is heading 2 this big? Why is heading 3 this big? And so forth. And who decided this is the font that I have to use? Remember the clue I gave you at the very beginning? That is decided by the theme. The theme has these settings. So the question is, can I change it? Can I change the size here so that when I bring in a heading 1, it looks different? And can I change the font here of the paragraph? And the answer is yes. And that is going to be the big difference between a good theme and a bad theme. A bad theme may not have all those features. A good theme will have plenty of features and customization. The other thing is, that's also the difference between a free and a pro theme. Some pro themes, which are paid themes, they are upgrades from the free themes, have lots of extra functionality. But everything we are doing here, we're going to do with the free Astra theme, and you will see it's super powerful. To access that customization of the theme, there are 3 areas you can do that. The first one is to go up here to Appearance, and under Themes, you will see Customize. If I click on that, it's going to open what we refer to as the customizer. Now we see my page here, and we have the sidebar on the left from which we can make those changes. To get out of here and go back to the WordPress administration area, click here on the cross. The second place to access the customization is to go to Appearance, Themes, and then when you see the splash screen for the theme, you will see the option here to customize. When you click on it, same thing, it's going to open the page with all these options here. Close out. The third one is you can access it directly from the front end. So here we had the front end, and you will see up here in the WordPress toolbar, we see the option again to customize. 3 places. So if you were in the front end, no need to go back into the back end, you can simply click here on Customize. Let's work from the back end just to make it comfortable, and I'll go to Appearance, Themes, Customize, and we go into the customizer. So what do we want to do here? There are a few things that I want to do. The first thing is I want to remove this sidebar. I don't want it to be on my page. I want it gone. The second thing is I want this content of mine to stretch all the way from left to right. We refer to that as full width. I don't want this box effect that we currently have. And third one is I want to change the text. I want to change the font. I want to change it to my own choice font. And then I also want to go and make changes to the size of these headings so that they fit what I want to do. This is all going to be done over here. So let's see what we can do working from the top. If you click on Global, and you're going to see typography. Typography is always about text and font. Click on that. Base typography, remember I told you the paragraph text we call body text, and that will be your base typography. And the headings, these will be our headings. Let's go to the base typography and click on that. Family is the font that we want to use. Currently it says default system font. I don't know what is the default system font. Apparently it's this one over here. I want to change it to my font that I want to use. So you click here and there are so many fonts that you can choose from. Google free fonts, so that's great. You have a plethora of fonts to choose from. The one I'm looking for is called Montserrat, M-O-N-T-S-E-R-R-A-T. There you see Montserrat. Before I click on it, we are now working on the body text. So what you have to look at, see how this text here will update the moment I choose Montserrat. I click it and you can see all my text, in fact, changed because this is my base text. Now I'm working with the Montserrat font. Variants allow me to load certain styles of this font. The benefit of choosing one is that when you load your page, it won't load all of them. It will only load specific ones. So in this case, for example, if I know, let me just get rid of that. I'm going to choose a semi-bold. I want to have semi-bold, so I click on that. Nothing's going to change here, but I'm just loading it. The size here is the size of my text here. So currently this is at 15 points. So my size of my text I set over here, and then the weight is set at normal, but I want to make it a little bit thicker. So I'm just going to click on here and choose medium 500. And again, have a look at how everything updates. Medium 500, and now it's a little bit more bold. The line height is the space between lines. So this white space here between these two lines, the white space, let me select the two lines like that. This space here between the two lines, that is your line height. So if I grab this slider and I drag it to the right, you will see the line height increases. If I drag it to the left, now you see it decreases. A good line height is around 1.6 to 1.8, especially when you're working with a size of 15. So I'm going to drag it up to 1.8, and when we get there, it should update. You can just type it in 1.8. That's a good line height, makes it easy for people to read it. Once I've made these changes, it's important to remember you have to save your work in WordPress constantly. So go up here to publish and you save it, and now this is locked in. Now we've worked on our body text. Let's go and see what we can do for the headings. Click on headings, and here you can choose again the font, but remember the font has already updated. This you are going to use if your heading font is different to your body text. Because the two are the same for me, I'm not going to make any changes here. I will change the weight and put that on semi-bold again. I think it's still on semi-bold. Ah, no, now it goes to semi-bold. The other one was on normal, right? Semi-bold. Just remember semi-bold. We put it on semi-bold, and now we have control for each of these. Heading 1, this is my heading 1, remember, over here. Heading 2, over here, and so forth. So we have individual control over each of these headings. Why am I doing this now? I'm creating presets. That's what I'm doing here. So when later on I want to bring in heading 1, I don't have to set up everything. It's already a preset and I can just use it. So I have full control over it. For my heading 1, I'm going to make it larger. Let's put that on 69 pixels. PX, pixels, and you can see it goes bigger. Go down to heading 2, and let's make this also larger, 40 pixels. And then we go to heading 3, 30 pixels, and you can see each time how they grow there. Heading 4, 5, and 6, I'm going to leave alone. And the reason why I'm not doing anything with heading 4, 5, and 6 is because I'm not going to use them. For the page that we are going to work on, I'm only going to use 1, 2, and 3. And because I'm not going to use 4, 5, and 6, I don't care about them. So I click here on Publish and go back. So we've set up the base typography and we've set up our headings. We go back one more. Here we have control over colors. We'll talk about colors a little bit later, so we'll come back to that. The one we'll talk about now is the container. Container, click on that, is how this page looks. You see there's a box here, that's a container. There's a sidebar here, that's a container. And what we do is we just focus here on layout. So you go to layout and you go to full width stretched. Look at what happens to my page. It stretches all the way to the left and to the right. At this moment, it doesn't look good, but we want to have this so that when we go build it out on our page, we have all of that space. I'm also going to put page layout on the same, just to make sure that these two are both locked in. We forget the rest. We're not working with the rest in this tutorial. Like I mentioned to you at the beginning, if we're not working with it, I'm not going to show it to you. Click back here, and now we've fixed our container. Go back to the main settings, and we go down to sidebar. Now, sidebar is this option over here, and I don't want to have this sidebar for my page. And because I know I'm not going to use it at all, I click here, and default layout says I have a right sidebar. You can see you can put it on the left. But guess I'm going to choose no sidebar. And that's it. Again, here's pages, and you can also put it on no sidebar just to make sure, and publish it. Go back. We've set all of this up, and now we're going to exit here by clicking on the X. And we go back to our page that we've been working on, which is our home page. Click on Pages, and then we click again on Home Page, and now we are back here. If you remember how this had looked previously, there was more space here and here. So because of those changes that we had made by changing the canvas to full width stretched, we have the full canvas to work with now. And our text can go all the way from left to right. Let's update this page and preview it again, and you will see this is how it currently looks. Now we're going to work with this, and we're going to delete all of this content and start with very nice blocks. But there's one thing here, and this is this home page title up here that appears on the page, which I don't like. This you have to activate or deactivate individually for each and every page. Go to the back end. We are here on the page, and look on the right in the options sidebar. You will see here there's an area called Astra Settings. Click on that if it's not open to reveal it. And now the sidebar and the content layout is set to the customizer setting. The sidebar we had set no sidebar, so there's no sidebar. Content layout we had set content with stretch. That's why it is stretched. Now you have additional options over here. Disable title. That's what the home is. I don't want that to display on the front end. So I click here to disable it. Update. Go to the front end, and that home is gone. Now I've set up my page the way I want it to be, and I can begin working. Go back, and let's click on each of these blocks. Click on the more options and remove it. We're not going to be working with these. Click on that, remove it, remove it, remove it. And then we stop here when it comes to this one. Now we are going to talk about a very important aspect of WordPress, something you're going to run in all the time, and that is plugins. What is a plugin? And before we get there, let me quickly discuss this paragraph. To interact with the paragraph, simply click on it. I told you there are settings up here, and there are settings over here. So let's have a look at these settings. I can change the font size here by selecting medium, large, etc. Small, normal, and I can even apply a drop cap. Under this, I have control over the color of the background, and then the color of the text. And I can even go here to custom color and add in my own text, like so. Update. Let's go preview it. And this is how it looks now. Remember, it looks a little bit different in the back end to the front end because WordPress is a back end editor. But this is the thing. If you have built pages, you will find a lot of these features in the WordPress editor extremely limiting. It's like you want to do more, but you just cannot do it. And you want to have this control and you just cannot do that. And this is the beauty of WordPress. WordPress is open source software, which means anyone in the world can write plugins or apps or contribute to this environment. It's similar to Android. If you have Android on your phone, people can write stuff for Android, write apps for it, and you can download those apps, install it, and you can enhance the experience of your Android phone. This is the same with WordPress. If I go and click here and remove this block, go here to the plus again and I look at these blocks, there are 10 blocks. These blocks are in so many ways so limited. How can I increase this experience of mine? And that is to go and find an app from a third-party developer. And this person had created more blocks that I can use in WordPress editor. And that will make my page look even better. And that app is called a plugin. And the great thing is the guys who make the theme Astra have created such a plugin. And they have a plugin called Astra Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg. The reason it's called Gutenberg is because originally this WordPress editor was called Gutenberg, so we still use the word Gutenberg. I want to bring in that plugin into WordPress so that I can use it within my WordPress editor. Let me show you how to do that. Before I leave this page, let's update it. And then let's go look for plugins here in the sidebar, plugins, and over here you see plugins. Click on that to see what we've got currently. You do not appear to have any plugins available at this time. Let's go add a plugin. Click on Add New. And you will see a few plugins appear over here. It asks you to install it. You are going to look for those plugins that you want. And there are thousands of plugins. Any plugin that you see here in the WordPress repository is free. There are premium versions, but what you see within WordPress is free. To get the premium ones, you have to go find them outside and upload them yourself. We don't cover that in this primer. Let's look for that plugin I'm looking for. So you go here to the search plugins and you type in Ultimate Add-ons Gutenberg. WordPress will think a little bit and then it will return with a number of plugins that they think match your search. And the one we are looking for here is UG, Gutenberg Blocks, Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg by Brainstorm Force. This is the same guys who create the theme. So these add-ons to the Gutenberg WordPress editor is going to play very nicely and integrate very well with your theme. Two-step process, remember, you first have to install it, click on Install Now, and then activate. Remember the two-step process that we've talked about. It will give you the page for the Gutenberg add-ons, and now it has been installed on your WordPress site. Let's see, go to Plugins, click again on Plugins, and now you will see Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg has been installed. To work with it, you simply go back to your pages. Pages, select Home, and let's add a block. Click here on Add Block, collapse this one, and here at the bottom you will see this appears now, Ultimate Add-ons block. If you select this one, you will see there's quite a number of extra features in here. And I really like working with this extension. It makes your page building so much better. Now this Ultimate Add-on block or Ultimate Gutenberg, the name changes from each display to the next, is just one of many. There are so many others out there, and we'll cover some of them. But for our page today, we're going to be working with this. And the reason, remember why I told you I'm doing this, because there's just more functionality. Let's quickly have a look at that more functionality. Ultimately, you're going to try and mix and match this with the blocks that come default loaded in WordPress with these from Ultimate Add-ons. Let's click here on our page and begin building our page. This is the part where you copy and do what I do. Don't think too much. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. To bring in a new block, you can either click here on this plus, add block, or on this one up here. both of them allow you to bring in a block. I'll click up here, add block, and I'll go to Ultimate Add-ons block, select that, and I'm looking for advanced columns. I think it's something like here, advanced columns, and I select advanced columns. This is a container element, a container block that gives me the option to have 2 columns, and I'm going to work with that, but I'm only going to work with 1 column. But now you have to be very, very careful when you are in the WordPress Gutenberg editor. This is a multi-block element, kind of. It has more than one function in it. And currently, if you look here in the sidebar on the right, you will see that it tells me the block that is currently selected is a column block. And it's only this one on the right. But I want to select that little, you see that blue line, advanced columns over here. I want to select that. And sometimes that's extremely difficult to select within WordPress. So they give you a navigator, which makes it easier for you to select it. And the navigator is up here. You see those 3 little dots called block navigation. If you click on this, you will see that this is the block we brought in, advanced column. And currently selected is this column. And then if you want to select that column, you click there. And now you see it's selected this one. But I want to select the outside container. Go up here to my block navigation and select advanced blocks. Here you have all the settings up here as well as here on the right. What I'll do is I'll go to the options on the right, and for my columns, I'm going to reduce it to 1 column. I'm only going to work with 1 column. Click here to collapse this, and then you see you have a lot of other options for this advanced column container. Let's go to the background. This is where we go. Click on background, background type, and I'm going to select an image for the background. Now I have to select the background image. By doing so, it opens within WordPress what we call the media library. Here is where you put in all your images that you will be using, even audio, even video. Anything that you will use on your website will come here into the media library. Here is the upload files area, and if you click here on media library, you will see it says no items found because currently there is nothing here. To bring in media like I'm doing now is very simple. Open your Explorer or your Finder on a Mac. And here are the images that I'll be using for this site. Simply click on the image that you want to use and drag it onto this area and drop it. It's going to upload, and over here you will see the details of this image. And to select it for the background, go here to the bottom and click on select. Now we have that image placed very nicely. How will this look on the front end at this moment? Let's go have a look. Update and preview, and whoa, that's it. And the reason it looks like that is because there's actually nothing in there. So for WordPress, it looks like an empty area and it displays like this. Let's go put some stuff in there. Go back here to edit page. Before I do anything, I want you to have a look up here to the block navigation. Currently, we have advanced column. And if we click on that, we have advanced column with 1 column inside. And if I click on that column, there's nothing inside the column. Often, when you click on an element like the column, and I'm going to do it now, it's going to add by default a paragraph block. So let me show you. I'm going to click here, but you don't see anything happening. If I click outside now and I go back here to the settings, advanced column, you will see there's a paragraph in my column. WordPress automatically adds a paragraph block whenever you click inside anything. And actually over here, you will be able to see some placeholder text if I click outside. It's very faintly, but it's there. Don't be alarmed. It's impossible to remove it. It's almost impossible. I've not been successful in removing it, but it will not display on the front end. For some reason, WordPress assumes you want to add something there, so it adds a paragraph block. But if you're not going to use it, don't worry about it. It's going to be there. It's going to be here in the block navigation, but it's not going to display. So you just ignore it. And that's what we're going to do. I'm showing you this now because it happens all the time. And then you are confused later by, where is this paragraph block? I'm confused. So from the beginning, let me confuse you at step 1 and tell you, don't worry about it, ignore it. Let's bring in a nice block from the add-ons. Go to the bottom, click on Ultimate Add-ons, and this one is called Info Box. And the Info Box you can do so much with. Click on the Info Box, and you will see the Info Box appears here as a block below this one. But that's not where I want the Info Box to be. I want the Info Box to be inside that column. Go to the side where you see this handle, and as you hover over it, it turns into a hand. Click and hold it, and drag it until you see that blue line. You'll see the blue line inside or wherever you see it inside. Let's say I'm going to put it on top there, and you drop it. And now I have included this info box inside of this column. If I go up here to my block navigation, you will see I have advanced columns. Inside I have a column, and inside that I have the info box and that pesky little annoying paragraph, which, don't worry, is not going to display. Let's click out here, and now let's select the info box, and all you do to select it is click on it as so. And you will know it is selected when you see here in the options sidebar, it says info box. First, collapse this. So let's see what we have here for the info box. We have image, we have content, a separator, call to action, spacing, and advanced. Let's begin with the image icon, which is this little thing over there. And this is all very difficult to see. So if I choose an icon color just to show you where it is, it's over there. But guess what? We're not going to use an image or icon. So from here, you go to this area where the icon is, and you just click on the X to remove it. And then your image icon, you can collapse that. Next, you go to the content area. And in the content area, you have 3 areas. The first one is a prefix. I'll just choose a color here again to show you where that is. And it says prefix. Again, we're not going to use it. So we just disable it, toggle it off. The next one is enable title. And we're definitely going to use the enable title. And the one under that is enable description. Let's see, color for that. But we're not going to use the description, so we disable that one as well. So what we've got is only enable the title. Let's change the color first for that. None of these colors I want to use. So I'll go here to this one, custom color, and click on that. And I have a color picker over here. To choose white, you just click here and you drag it all the way to the top left. And white has a code that's FFF, 6 Fs in a row, hash 6 Fs. The hexadecimal is the name of white. So this is pure white, FFF. We'll play around with colors a little bit later. Now we have set the color to white. I'm going to change this title here. I'll triple click on it to select it, or you can highlight and select it. And I'll call this Energy Management. And then enter, made easy, to give me a line break. Made easy. That's a little bit small. The title tag here is what we had worked with previously. Remember, we had set all these in the theme, H1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to give this H1. This is going to be my main heading. And now it goes to that size. It's a little bit bad, H management. Let me just change it. And what you observe here is that all those settings that I had made in the theme have been applied here. I don't need to change the font. I don't need to change the size. Everything has been done already. I can just work with it the way it is. Now that we've done all of that, let's collapse this. And the next one is a separator. Again, I'll just click here on the color to show you where the separator is. I am not going to use the separator. What I'll do is go to Style and select None. And we remove that separator as well. So all we've got at this moment is this heading title within this info box, within this column, within this section. Let's update and view it on the front end. And it's starting to look like something. Let's go back to the back end. And now we go click again here to make sure that we have selected our info box. You will see info box up here when you have selected it. If you cannot find it, remember, go up here to block navigation and simply click on info box to select all the settings. collapse separator, and click on call to action. What on earth is a call to action? A call to action is a link that you can click. It is a way to say to your viewer, click here and you will go there, or something will happen. An action will happen. So I call you, viewer, hey, come over here, click here, something will happen. That's kind of where the term call to action comes from. Often you will hear people just talk about it, CTA, all this lingo that we are so fond of. Call to action, CTA, in most cases, your call to action is a simple button. And there are various types that you can select. So from the drop down, click on it and we will choose button. Good golly, Miss Molly, where is that button? We cannot see that button at all. And over there, I can barely see it. The button is there. Let's begin with the text color. I'm going to put that on white. So I choose custom color and drag my selector to the top left. Then the background color, I'm going to use a green. That will be my own green that I want to bring in. So to do that, I bring in a value, the name of that green. I click here on custom color. And now I have a strange thing here. I don't have the area to paste a code for it. So what I'll do is the workaround I got. I'll select any color over here, very light gray. And when I click down custom color, you will see here I have the option to paste the name of this custom color. And I'll control V. It's 006B23, and there I have that one. And I'll do the same for the border. Also paste that color. So I've set up the colors for my button at this moment. Let's go and style the rest of this button. Let's start from the top, call to action. There are so many features here. It's a little bit overwhelming. I'll change the text. So you change the text over here. We'll click there on start here. And then we're going to go to the button padding. That will apply space at the top and the bottom and at the left and the right. So top and bottom, I'll increase this to 15 pixels, just a little bit like that. And left and right, I'll increase that to 40 pixels. That gives us a lot of nice space to give some isolation to our text and make it stand out. Start here. That looks good. So the button border is solid. We left it like that. And the width is the line, but we're going to keep that on 1. We don't have to worry about that. And rounded corners. Would you like some rounded corners? I would like some, Bob. So we put the rounded corners and we move it. Let's see, where are we? 50. Put it here on 50. And if I don't get there to 50, I can just use these up and down keys to get it to 50. Hey, we've got a nice little button there. You have to agree to that. Just a few things I want to show you before we leave here. This button has to go somewhere, right? If somebody clicks on it, it needs to take them somewhere. In the next tutorial on WordPress, I will show you how to do all of that. In this primer, we're not going to be working with links. So we're just creating this button so that you have an idea where it is. And that is where the link will go into the future. And if you don't use anything, you just put a hash in there. So remember that. Let's update it and see how it looks on the front end. There we go. Of course, this looks really bad. And unfortunately, I have to tell you the truth. I see many websites, many, who looks like this. The reason it looks so bad is because there is no space to give kind of dimension to what we are creating here. And every time, I will say 95% of the time when I look at people's sites, the problem is lack of space. We refer to it as white space. So let's go back. Let's go fix this and make it look good so that it is something that you can be proud of. To add the space, we need space at the top and the bottom. You can see this thing is so squashed. We have to add it in the top and the bottom. Now, this image is placed within our section, right? Go here to your block navigation and advanced columns. We're going to select that because that's where our image is. After you have selected it, go to spacing. And here you have all the spacing that you can apply to it. Padding will give you the space at the top and at the bottom. So let's increase it, and I'm going to drag. Oh, shoot, that's very sensitive. Drag it very carefully. I'll just click in here and type 220 pixels. So now I've added that space at the top, and let's copy it for the bottom as well. Just scroll a little bit, grab the slider. Oh, these sliders are so sensitive. Oh, is that? No, that's 2. Let's bring it down to 220. Right, so this looks much better. Let's update it and see if it looks better on the front end. Much better immediately. There's a little bit of space. We think we're already a little bit more happier than we were before. However, this heading and this call to action button is just too close to each other, so we have to add some space in here. That will happen within this block element. To interact with it, click on it, and then here in the options on the right, look for something with spacing. There's spacing. So we see we have spacing here for title bottom margin. So if I drag this out, we increase that spacing here at the bottom. So let's do that. Let's put it on 40. Update. Let's have a look at it. And that looks much better. I'll do two more things here. The one thing is an overlay and the second one is a shape divider. Let's talk about the overlay first. Overlays are very popular in images in website design. It puts a color over an image and that makes your text stand out a little bit more. To do that, you have to go to your advanced columns. I'll go here and select them. And then I will look here at background because that's where it should be. And under the background, here we go, image overlay color. I'll choose this one here. And now we can see nothing. So what's the point? The point is that you have to go here to opacity slider and you have to drag it to a percentage that you are comfortable with. And we're going to put it on 50%. Let's make it a little bit darker. So go to custom color and I'll just drag this all the way to the bottom left. That is pure black, 00000. Click out here and the opacity is still at 50%. Looks all right. Now it looks a little bit more defined. We can see the title better and we can see the button, our call to action, also better. The next thing I want to add is a shape divider. While we are here, you will see shape divider. Just here, click on that. Let's drag it down. And I'm dragging this down. I want to add a little shape divider down here. So that is the bottom. I click on bottom and then the type, select, and I choose waves brush. Look at that. Got those nice little waves, brushy thingies going on. Let me just scroll down. I want to put that in white. Click on custom color, drag it to white. And then I'm going to play around with these two called the width and the height. If I drag the width, you will see, again, very sensitive. Not entirely sure difference between width and height. For me, they are more or less the same. And then height I'll also reduce. So we bring that down to 50. We type that in 50. And then the width, let's put that on 150. So we have this nice separator at the bottom of this section. And that will lead us into the next section, which makes it very interesting. We update it to make sure we save it. Let's go view it on the front end. And there you see there's a little bit of that. And now you've created your first part on your page. Before we continue to the next part, this is very common in websites, right? You've seen it on so many web pages. You go to a web page and you see this huge image at the top with the title and a button. This we refer to as a hero banner, a hero section, and the image is a hero image. It's like, ta-da, I'm the hero. It's the big part on your page. This is the part on your page that draws the attention. A few tips here. Your hero image and banner must introduce your site, and people should know immediately when they look at that what your site is about. Energy, it says energy management. There's no ifs or buts over that. Everybody knows it's energy management. The image is green, so we kind of naturally associate that with energy, so the two match very well. And then the button will, of course, depend on where you want to send these people when they click on it. Very good job. Let's build out a few more so that you can get this primer under the belt. Very soon you're going to get the hang of this. Scroll down and let's click here on the plus that you see at the bottom. If you do not see that plus, because it's very possible in WordPress that they sometimes do not appear, remember you just go up here and click on Add Block. I'll click here on this one, and again, we're going to bring in advanced columns. You can go to the bottom, Ultimate Add-on Blocks, but if you had used it, it may just appear here under Most Used. So you can look here. Indeed, there it is, Advanced Blocks, and I click on that. advanced columns, and I click on that. Here we have our advanced columns. And what I'm going to do is bring in an image over here and some text over here to introduce my client. I will limit a few things here because I want this column to be a little bit narrower than this column. Go up here and choose the first column to make sure you have selected it. You'll see that it's selected. And here in layout on the right in the content sidebar options, you type in 35%. 35%, you see it goes a little bit smaller here. Let's select the second column to even it out. And you type in 65%. There you go, right? 35 and 65. So we have our two columns now within our advanced column block. I want to add an image in here, so I can simply click here on Add Block within this column. And for this, I'm going to use the standard image block that comes with the WordPress editor. That will be under Common Blocks, over here, Image. It will ask me to upload Media Library. I can choose either of these two. I just simply choose Media Library, and then I go to my Explorer, and I grab my image, I drag it, I drop it, and I say Select it. All right, looks good. If I update it and we go preview it, it looks like this. It's a little too big for me, so what I'm going to do is that I want to add a little bit more space here on the left and the right. And to do that, I will go to my Advanced Columns container. So to select that, because there are so many lines here, it's going to drive me nuts trying to get to all of that. Go here, and I select Advanced Columns. Go to the right, under Layout, we are going to go to the container width, right? So this is our canvas, the container, and we're going to say apply a custom one. So we're going to limit it by ourselves. When I click on it, it makes the container narrower. So you see we have this space here and this space here. And it's set to 900 pixels, which is actually fine. I'm just going to increase that to 1000 pixels. I know people ask me, how did you determine that? Why did you do that? It's again something that as you go through and you do these things all the time, especially if you have a little bit of a design background, you build up certain rules for yourselves. The reason why I chose 1000 is because I just copied what Astra did. It wasn't even my own thinking. But by doing so, you apply some space on the left and the right, and it just looks better on the front end. So if I say update here and I go to the front end, you will see it's a little bit more space here. It's a little bit more defined. There's nothing wrong with the bigger one, but sometimes you just want something a little bit more elegant. Go back to the back end, and now over here, for this one, we bring in the info box again. It's already here under most used, so I click on info box. We're going to make a few changes. This time you can see the info box very, very clearly. So let's begin working with the info box. Before we go to the right, one of the settings that's not on the right, it's up here in this toolbar, is the alignment. I'm going to align it to the left. So you select here, go to left, and now it's here flushed to this left side. So nicely aligned to the image. Click on it to make sure that you can interact with it. Go to the right. I'm just going to collapse it so that we can see what we've got. Let's start with the icon, which we are not going to use. Do you remember how to remove it? Click on image and icon and go over here, just delete it, and you have removed it. Let's close that. Let's change the content in here, and for that you have to go within the block. So I'll double click prefix and I'm going to type in there consultant, and then over here I'll give her a name, and her name is going to be Jolene Parton. Jolene Parton. Jolene, so you know what I'm talking about. Then, after that, we've got this one here, which is what? It's a divider, also known as a separator. If you look here in the options sidebar, you see separator. So select that. We want to put it after the title, which is Jolene Parton. And we're happy with everything except the width. It's a little too big. This will be percentage. So I will reduce it to around, let's say 10. 10% looks more manageable to me. Then we want to add a description here over Jolene so that you don't think she's some inexperienced empty head who wants to tell you about energy management. You bring in some important text about Jolene and her qualifications. And to do that, we use random text. Remember, lorem ipsum. This time we grab different text to make our site look interesting. Go to the back end and select all of this. Yeah, selected. Control Command V. I think that's enough text that we have there. Hey, it's looking okay, right? I think it's looking pretty nifty. We have done a pretty decent job here so far. Let's just go and look at all the styling here. So if I'm here on consultant, that will be my content. And I have that as a prefix. Let's see the size of that. If I click here, I want to put that on 20, make it a little bit bigger. And the font weight at 100, I think that's good. So when we go to Jolene, our title tag we're going to put on H2, and that will make it larger by default, so we don't have to make other changes there. We want to add another button here. Remember, button, what's another word for that? Call to action. So we add call to action here, and we choose button. And the first thing we'll change here is the text. Read my story. And for the rest, we will leave it like that. We go down here, button icon, no. Again, for the button padding, we give the top 15. So we're going to make this button the same as the previous one. 15, let me type it in there, and 40 on the sides. Button looks better. For our style, we leave that at 1. Rounded corners at 50. Put it on 50. One up. Text color, we're going to put that on white. So grab your selected, drag it to the top left-hand corner. Background color, we're going to use the green that we had previously used. Click on custom color, and we have that same thing here that I cannot enter the name. Must be a glitch. I'll have to tell the guys, where is my button now? Go back there, call to action, and I'll just select this color over here. Then when I click on custom color, I have the option to paste in the text. So I have to go grab that green color again. Paste the code. And we do the same for the border color. Paste that as well, in case we have a border color. And as I hover over it, you see, I don't see my text. And that is called hover. So if I go up here to normal, click on hover, and I go to text color, custom color, and I paste that green. Hover over it, it looks better. What about this one at the top? This one worked fine, no problem with that. Jolene Parton, her section looks pretty good, so we click on update, we preview it to see how it looks now. And what's wrong? If something feels wrong, you go for space. You should know this. So let's go and add space many places here. The first place we want to add space is here. We want to have some space to separate this info box from our image. So we go to the info box, we go to the column there. To select that, I'll go to the second column, and we go to spacing. We're going to apply it to the left, this side. So you see here that little left, and we increase that to 30. Make it, that's crazy. This thing is so sensitive, hardly, let me just type it in, 30. That gives us a little bit more space. Now let's go to the info box, and we add some space here and here. Click on the info box, make sure it is selected. You'll see it up there. I collapse this and I look for spacing. We have prefix bottom margin. No, I don't want any margin there. Title bottom margin. Let's see. Yeah, we increase that to around 20. Separator bottom margin. That's the margin here. Increase that to 20. So we have the same. And then we want some space here between the button and my paragraph. So that is description bottom margin. And we increase that. I'm going to put that at 30. Let's update. Let's preview it. That looks much better. But not perfect enough. You see, this content that we have here is way too close to the section at the top. We need to add a little bit more space here. To add space between sections, you go and look for a function that is margin. If I go to my edit page again, and I look for this advanced columns, I'm just going to select it up here to make sure that I've selected it. And then when I go to spacing over here, at the top, you will see padding. Do not touch that one. You look for margin. Margin is the space between this section and the top section. So we're going to increase our margin. I'll drag it to 100. Man, let me type in 100. And I'll also add space at the bottom for good measure to make sure that the next section that comes in have that space already. So let's update it, preview, and that looks much better. Energy management made easy. We could have written there WordPress made easy. And then over here, Jolene Parton, she's ready to help you with your energy management. My site is looking very nifty. I can sell it to someone already. I'll only get a little for that because I still need to do a lot. Let's bring in 3 more sections. And the reason I'm focusing on this is so that you can get used to how to work within this WordPress editor, that when you go to the next tutorials, you won't struggle around with it. Back to the back end we go. And now we're going to build out, let's say, our service section. We're not putting in real content. We're using fake placeholder content, so you don't have to worry about what you put here. We just use lorem ipsum text. Click here on the plus, and we're going to use now a section. A section allows you to bring in more. So you can bring in a section. We're going to add columns within that. That will allow you to build out a very complex block. Collapse this. Go to Ultimate Add-ons block and look for section. Where is that? Did I miss it already? Over here, section. If you cannot find it, let's close out and click here on the plus. You just go here, search for block, and you look for section. And you will have the various elements. The WordPress default gives you group. Ultimate Add-ons gives you section. We love this one. We choose that one. Let's look at the settings over here. The layout is set to boxed. So you can see there is space on the right, space on the left. I want to put that on full width. Select that, and you see it stretches all the way from the left to the right. And the rest of these we leave for now. Let's bring in an advanced heading. So with it selected, you click here on the plus, and we look for advanced heading. Go here, Ultimate Add-ons block, and there is advanced heading over here. There we have this block coming in. How may I help you? Sounds like something from an alien movie. How may I help you? Type that in there, and we are going to look at that over here. The heading tag is currently set to H2, and we're going to leave it on H2 because that's how we set it up earlier, so we don't need to make any changes to that. We have a separator there. I like the separator as is. Let's put in a description over here. I'll grab some lorem ipsum text. It's going to say something about, what's her name, Jolene's services. And let's give a line break over here. Enter return on your keyboard. Good. What we need though is a little bit space, right? So we have to agree, a little bit space here, a little bit space here. Collapse this, look for spacing, and then we add, let's make it 20. I think we can make it 25. It's a heading, needs a little bit more space. 25, 25, we've brought that in. And that's it. Advanced heading, boom, and you're done with the advanced heading. Now, under this, I want to bring in the 3 services that Jolene and her energy management team can offer you. If you have 3 columns, what do you look for? Advanced column. So click here on the plus, look for advanced columns and bring it in. I want to have 3 columns though. Remember, I said 3. So I need to select my advanced columns block. I'll go up here and I'll select advanced columns, and over here, columns layout, I'll put it on 3. For this first one, I click and I bring in an info box. So I have my info box here, and let's style out this info box. Begin up here, and that is going to be my image icon. I'm not going to use icons. Select source, I'll choose an image. Click on select image. I go to my Explorer and I grab, let's say this one. I grab my image, drag and drop it, and then select it. You can see it's blurry. Why is it blurry? If you go back to here, I click on replace image, and you look at the settings of this image, it's 60 by 60 pixels. That is the size of this image. But if you look at what the setting is currently here, the width of this is 120 pixels. So it's double the size it should be. You have to make sure it's 60 or lower to make sure it has good resolution. So I'm going to type in there 60 pixels, and you see, it looks really good. I don't want the prefix. So we go to content and enable prefix. We toggle that off. But I do want to have my enabled title. I'll triple click to select everything within the box, and I'll type in service option 1. This is the first service that she will offer. And when you design it for a client, you will write in there what the service is all about. Over here for the separator, I will remove that. So let's go to separator and style. We say none. Then we go back to content. I think the content is fine. We'll change this with some lorem ipsum text. 2 lines, 2 sentences. Let's see. Triple click to select it. Control Command V. I think that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Good. So we are happy with this. Now I'm going to go to these 3 dots, more options, and I'll click on duplicate. I have a second one now. Go to the handlebar on the left, click and hold and drag it there, where you see that blue line, and drop it. Do it again. Duplicate, click and drag there, and drop it. And now you just change the content. I click on this one. I'll go to the image and I'll replace that image with another one. Bring in my Explorer, click and drag the image, select it, and bring it in. See, I change it. And here I'll say service option 2, my lord. We go for this one. Okay, image, replace. Bring in my third one. Select that and call this 3. So what have we got here? Let's update it and go see on the front end. Okay, we have our hero. Then we have our info section about Jolene and how may I help you. Come on, let's make this look pretty, JP. Let's do that. We're going to make it look very, very pretty very soon. To do that, we'll bring in a background for our entire section. So make sure you select the section. And if you cannot select it, go up here to block navigation and make sure you select section. You will see section up here. I'll say that quite often because I struggle to select all these things. We'll add a background. Click on background. Go to background type and select gradient. Then over here, we have color 1 and color 2. So we're going to have a gradient, 2 colors. I want to use that green and then slash that with a white. So I'll first copy my green color again. Let me go grab that. Control copy. And then I go to color 1, custom color. And I'll type it in here. Gives me the green. And then the next one. The moment I select the second one, you will see it appear. I'll make it white. So we have this gradient. I want it to be a hard gradient. So it's a line. And to do that, you go over here to the location. And you type in 50. And for this one, you also type in 50. And now you have that strong line there. Then I want to change the angle. So I'm going to type in 130 and I get this kind of angle for it. But this makes it very difficult to read this text, right? So what we do is we reduce the color of this green, the opacity. So we make it lighter. To do that, so we want to make the green lighter. And to do that, we go here to opacity and we reduce it. We put it on 20. Type it in if you cannot get it there. Let's update and see how it looks on the front end. Okay. Right? It doesn't look good at all. So we have to add space. Try to start getting that mantra in your head. If it doesn't look good, what do we need? We need space. So we want to add space here at the top. We want to add some space here between these 2 areas. And we want to add space at the bottom. Let's go here. Now we go to our section. We're still in our section. Make sure it's section, collapse, background. Go to spacing. We want to add the space inside here so we can keep the background. So we're going to add spacing to the padding at the top and the bottom. So let's go. Did we use 220 before? Maybe that is a little too much, right? Let's move it down to 120. That looks better. And then for the bottom, we also add 100 pixels. And now we have more of that space. We want to add space between the columns and this area. Let's go and select the advanced columns, and we do the same. We look for spacing, and we look for the padding at the top, and we increase that to 75. Get that space there. Update, front end, and that looks much better. I think the green is still too strong. We could probably reduce that a little bit more. So I'm going to do that. Let's go back here. Let's go reduce the color of that green. And this is how it works. You go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So to make the opacity lighter, take it down to 10%. And I think I want to change the angle too. Let's make the angle a little bit more like that. What is that? 150? Make it 150. See if that looks better. Doop, doop, doop. Ah, I think it looks better. So it cuts off there, so let me make that angle a little bit more. 160, update. And that's better. Now we get it to stretch across all of this area. How about if we put one more button down here, right? Let's do that. Let's go back to the back end. And we will put that button underneath here. Let's bring in the button, click on add block, and we look for button, type in button, and we select button. Now this button is the WordPress button, right? This is the default button that comes in with it. So I'm going to show you another trick quickly after we brought in this button. Click on the button. It looks very different to how we had created this one, because this one was done with Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg. This one is the WordPress default button. Let's put in some text there, view more. And let's center align it, and you find that here in the options toolbar at the top, align center. We've done that. Let's preview it. We need some space here, right? You agree with me. You begin to understand how this works. So let's add space here at the bottom. We go here and we look for this one, our section. Advanced columns selected. Let's go to spacing and increase the space here at the bottom. I'm going to add that to 50. See, the space increased here. Update. And that looks much better. How may I help you? Service option 1, 2, and 3. This is how we're going to manage the energy. Great. Look at what we've done here. And this all with Astra that is free, WordPress that is free, and the ultimate add-ons for Gutenberg from Brainstorm Force that is also free. 2 more sections and then we're done. Then this primer is over. You can relax. And my advice would be, if it was a little bit confusing, you will need to come back and practice it again. And just do everything like I did, exactly step for step. Jump back into the back end and we bring in our good friend advanced columns. Here at the bottom and advanced columns there. And we're going to work with 2 advanced columns. So we're happy with that. On this side, we bring in our good friend info box. And on this side, we bring in an image. And you see, I'm just dropping in these things now because I know where they should go, and I'll build out the content once I have them in. Let's bring in the image first. Media library, go to our Explorer, grab our image, drag and drop, select, and there's our image. Nice, image is done. Next one, we go over here. Click to interact with it, and then we start with the image and the icon, which we're not going to use, so we take it away. Close here, go to the content, and then we are going to say enable prefix. No, we're not going to use that. Enable title, yes, but we're going to put that on H2 to make it bigger. Let's change it. Triple click to select everything, and then say work with me. Let's center or left align all of this. Go to the toolbar, change text alignment, click on that, and move it to the left. Now it's nicely on the left. Next, let's go here to our content. We bring in some lorem ipsum text for that. this amount, and triple click, Control V. I think that's a good amount. And that will be our content. And the content is our paragraph, body text, so we don't play around with that. Let's collapse this and go to the separator over here, which we want to make a little bit smaller. Around here, again, 10%. And then we add some space between these elements. Go to spacing. Title bottom margin, yes, we increase that to 20. And then I'm going to add some significant space between that, which is our description, no, separator bottom margin. Let's add in 30 pixels there. That looks very good. Let's see. Click here on the page, update that, and preview it. And this is where we will add some more information about working with Jolene. And I bet you every time I say that, you just want to start singing Jolene, Jolene. Let's add a little bit more space here at the top and the bottom. And to do that, we select our advanced columns. Click on advanced columns. Spacing is done under spacing. And it's between two sections. So you go to margins. I'll add 100 at the top. And I'll add 100 at the bottom. Maybe that's too much. Let's see. Update. Let's go view it. No, I think that's good. And see how simple that was. Do we want to add a button here? Yeah, we've got so many buttons on this page. Let's do one more button. Why not? We go back to our info box, click on that, and then over here we go to call to action. We go through the same procedure, select it and choose button. And we keep it on read more. What we're going to change here is our padding, which is 15 for the top and 40 on both sides. So let's make it 40, increase the space around that. And then rounded corners, we put that at 50. This time I got the 50 right. Awesome. Then our text color, that was white. So we put the text on white. And our background color is green. I cannot enter it here, so I click out. Let me find it again. Where is it? Call to action. And I just select the color, then click on custom color, and then I add it. It gives us the green. And I'll do the same for the border color, green. And if I hover over it, I don't see my text. So I click here on hover, text color, custom color, and I paste that. Control V. And then we have to add some space there. Remember that. So we go look for our spacing again. Call to action. I just like to close these things. Otherwise I get very confused. Spacing. And then this will be description bottom margin. This is our description. So the bottom margin, we increase that also to 30. There we have that. Update. We're done with this section. Let's have a look. Here's our hero banner. Ooh la la. Here is about Jolene. Very, very fancy. Here is our services. Whoa. And here is come and work with me. This is what I can offer you. And again, you have an image there that kind of gives you that nice little energy feeling. Also think of what other decisions have been made here. The buttons are green. Have you noticed they are green? So it kind of connects to energy. That connection that we have with the environment and eco and conservation is green. So we choose those kind of colors to enhance that experience. The other thing that we've done is we chose a very, very modern font, right? We are technology driven, future forward. And that's the kind of font that we are using here. So think of those decisions that have been made in creating this page. Whew, right? Take a breath because we're going to tackle one more section with a contact form and then we're done. We like working with advanced blocks, so we go back to click and add advanced blocks. However, if you use it all the time, you will see that the ones you use last appear here as 3 options. So if you know which icon represents advanced blocks, which is this one, and you get quicker at this, you just go here and you click on advanced blocks and you bring in another advanced blocks for you. We're going to change the background for this advanced block. So the first thing we will do is go to background. When you know what the background is going to be, my advice is always change the background first because that will help you to visualize everything else that you are doing. We choose color and I'm going to paste a custom color in here, which is 31, 31, 31. Oh, that is a mistake. I pasted it in the columns. Big mistake. How do you undo something you did? Same that you would do in most other software apps. Control, Command Z, Control Z, Command Z. Make sure you have selected Advanced Blocks. Advanced Blocks, it says at the top. Now you know you're in the right company. Let's look again for background. Background type, color, custom color, and we type in 31, 31, 31. There we go. Now that looks better. I'm also going to put a shape divider at the top. Give us the same effect that we have up here, but put it at the bottom. And you see kind of, you have one at the top and one at the bottom. It brings closure to your page. Let's do that. Shape divider. This time it's at the top and it's going to be the same one, wave brush. We put it on white so we can see it. Top. And then we're going to reduce our width and height again. What did we have this on? 150, and we had this on 10. No, we had it on 50, I think. 10 is really too small for that. Let's bring it up to around 50. Yeah. So I'm going to be happy there with 50. What I will do is I will add some information here in the left column, and on the right-hand column, I'm going to bring in a form where people can contact me, put in their email address, and send it to me, and I can collect it. Just like I mentioned before, however, we're going to build out this form, and we're going to use a plugin for that. But we're not going to look at how you're going to collect that information. We're just going over this primer, and in the coming videos, we will delve deeply into those features within WordPress. I'm going to make a few changes to my columns first, and to make that, I'll click on this column, and I'll set the width over here. This one is 40%, and of course then this one is 60%. You have to do that for both. Click on the column, type it in, click on the column and type it in. Let's go to the one on the left, and we bring in an info box. So click here on the plus. Info box is already there at the beginning because we use it so much that they just leave it there for us. Image icon, we're not going to use that, so remove that. Content, we're not going to use a prefix. We are going to use a title. Let's change the color first so we can see that. And then let's put it on H2. I'm going to double click on that and say, subscribe to my newsletter. And I want to left align all of this. So let me just click here and say align text left. So all of this is flushed to the left. I'm not going to use a description here. So I will disable, enable description. Disable, enable description. That's how we say it. Let's still leave our separator in there, the line that we cannot see. So we go to separator, change the color so we can see it to white. Now we can see it, and then reduce the width again to around 10%. So we keep it consistent throughout our page. Everywhere that separator is, you can see it throughout the site. Under this, I will bring in a block that we haven't used yet, one that I'm pretty fond of, and it's called a spacer. Click on Add Block, and then go to Common Blocks, and you look for, no, not under Common Blocks, Formatting. No, not under Formatting, Layout. Yes, Layout, Spacer. And again, if you cannot find it, you just type in there spacer. This spacer is an element that is empty, but it allows you to create space on your site. And that's where you want to increase maybe a lot of space, like I'm going to do here. So I click on the spacer and it brings in this element, but there's nothing in there. It's empty. It's just space. And I'm going to click here on this handle at the bottom, and I can drag it up and down. And you will see over here, it says the height in pixels. So if I drag it down, it's at 86. And I'm going to put it around 200. So I can drag it a little bit more. Let's type in there 200. Ooh, 200, and it will give us the 200. Okay. Ooh, now you don't see it, but as you hover over it, you will see it says column spacer. And if you cannot select it, remember, go to the block navigation at the top and select spacer here. You will select it and you can interact with it. Under this, I'm going to bring in some text because I want to say, hey, consider subscribing. We are awesome. And for that, I'll use a simple paragraph element for that. I click on paragraph. I cannot see anything. Is it there? There's a cursor there blinking. I can barely see it. Let me go and change the color first. So over here, I see it is selected, paragraph, color settings, background, text. So we choose the custom color for the text, put it on white. Okay, now things look better. And then I begin typing. I cannot see anything. So let me click here. Consider subscribing if you don't want to miss it when new posts go up and make me a sad panda. Okay. Don't say that if you're a professional, but we say it here just to make life interesting. Let me just change this. Check my spelling. Consider subscribing if you don't want to miss it when new posts go up and make me a sad panda. Okay. Now, on this side here, we're going to bring in a form. There is no form within the blocks. There is no form currently within WordPress. So if you want to have a form where people can send you a message, you will need to bring in a plugin so you can create that form. That is one of those extended functionalities. So we will do that. Click on Update, and now we will leave this page. We will go over to Plugins. Remember, this is the one we had installed earlier, and we're going to install a form. Click on Add New. And our form is called WP Forms. Wow, WordPress Forms. Of course, it's not made by WordPress. It's made from these guys called WP Forms. And look at that, 3+ million active installations. Loads of people use this. This is a free version. There is a pro version that brings in far more functionality, for which you're going to pay almost an arm and a leg. But if it's worth it, it's worth it. We only need a simple form at this moment. So we're going to use the free version, which you get here in the WordPress repository. Let's go through the process. Install now. That's done. Click Activate. And as it activates, observe what happens here on the left in the navigation sidebar. It's going to add WP Forms over here. Here is a welcome screen, but let's just click here on WP Forms to see what's going on. And very similar layout to the pages. It will tell you, whoops, you haven't created a form yet. Want to give it a go? Absolutely. Let's click here on want to give it a go, and it creates a new form for us. Up here, form name, we give the form a name so we can call it later. I'm going to call it my bottom form because it's at the bottom. And we can use a pre-made template. So let's click here on create a simple contact form. And it loads this for us. And look what it has loaded for us. Here people can put in their name, their last name, the email, content or message. What more do you want? And that's the great thing. You are done here. There's a submit button as well. So we click up here on save. And then we close it. And now we have that form. How are we going to work with this form? And this is one of those things that you also have to get used to within WordPress. It is a function called short code. You will see it says here on the right, short code, and then there is bracket, WP Forms ID equals, open quotation marks, 63, close quotation marks, bracket, square bracket. This is a short code that you use and you enter it on the page and then it links back here. It's like a link. It's a hyperlink kind of thing that you use between the page and this form. Go to shortcode and triple click. It will select everything. Right click and copy it. And remember shortcode. Then we go to our pages. Here's our home page. Click on that. Scroll to the bottom where we were working. Go to the second column. And when you click here on add block, you're going to look for a block that is called short code, SHO, and there you go, short code. Click on it and it will come in here and it will tell you write short code here. That short code that we had just copied from WP Forms, you're going to paste it here. Control V or Command V, and it is entered. Update. So where's my form? This is how a short code works. In the builder, you are not going to see it. But when you go to the front end, WordPress is going to link the short code to the form, and it's going to draw the form to the front end. Don't believe me? Let's have a look. Update again, click on preview, and we scroll down, and here we go. There is our form. But things aren't right in the world of WordPress because we can barely see what's going on here. So we have to go and make styling choices to this form so that we at least can display it properly on this site. To do that, go back and now you have to go to WP Forms. You don't have to change again the shortcode. Shortcode is going to remain the same. Click on WP Forms and here is your form. You can just select it to begin editing it. As you hover over here, you will see there's a box for each of these fields that you can edit. We call it a field. So if I click here on this field that has the first and last name, the options appear here and I can make changes to it. So there I have name at the top, I have the format, and it's a required function. Go to advanced options and over here we're going to make a few changes. Let's make the field size large. So you see now it stretches all the way. Leave it like this. And then we're going to add a placeholder. A placeholder is what goes inside this field. So for the first name, this one over here, we're going to say add your name. And then for the last name over here, we're going to say last name. And you see as I do that, it appears over here. We don't need these things at the top. So I'm going to select your hide label. They appear, they disappear, and I'm going to select hide sublabels, and they also disappear. Great. So now we just do the same for these two. Click on email, advanced options, field size, large, placeholder text, email, and then hide label. And then go over comment or message, click on that. We can say here, contact, send me a message. Send me a message. Go to advanced options. Shouldn't be there. Doesn't matter. Field size, we say large, and then placeholder text should be send me a message. Hide label, limit length. Nah, that's fine. And we are done, right? Now our form looks better. If I click here on save, it's going to remember these changes. So if I go to the front end now and I say reload it, my form will update here. This looks much better. This is the form that I can work with. We're going to make a few changes, so it's a little bit more spaced here, but that will be done within the WordPress editor. We're almost done. Let's close up here, get out of WP Forms, go back to our pages, and we select our home page again. As you can see, things look a little bit squashed, so we need to add spacing. Go back into WordPress, scroll to the bottom, and then we're going to first go to our advanced blocks. Let me see if I can select advanced blocks, and then we go to spacing. We've done this a few times, spacing, and we want to add it inside. So we go to padding. I'll increase that to 100, and even at the bottom, I'll put that on 100. Better more than less. When we update that, you will see it looks much better now. As an updated preview, let's click preview. Much better. In fact, I think we need a little bit more space at the top. So I'm going to go back, put that on 150. Update. Let's see. That looks better. Let's add some space here. So we'll select this column, the second column. Go to the second column, click on it. You know it's column over here. And the spacing we will add here on the left. Click on spacing and look here for the left and let's add 50. Update, preview. And that looks much better. And here you can submit. And after a very, very lengthy session, we have come to the end of our WordPress primer. And I hope it has been insightful and useful. I know at some points it may even have been very, very confusing and even frustrating. Anything is like that. You have to get to learn it, and then you have to do it again and again and again, and you'll get better at it. Actually, I'll be honest that when it comes to the WordPress editor, I'm not very good at it because I use other plugins for building my pages. It's something we'll cover. But in this WordPress series, we are trying to see how much you can do with just WordPress. WordPress is updating soon to 5.4, and as WordPress makes updates, it's trying to catch up with modern ways and modern models of website design. The future of WordPress is really interesting and I think fascinating to see where it will go, and it will make your building experience easier and easier. So why WordPress? One reason is it's free. It's a free platform that you can use. The second reason is if you love flexibility, WordPress gives you that because you can choose from thousands of themes. You can choose from thousands of plugins. You can mix and match them, and you can create an environment with a workflow that suits you, that is pure you. And that's the biggest problem when you go online and try to get help from people working with WordPress, is that everyone does it a little bit different. So my advice is, if you are very, very, very new to WordPress, is to do exactly what I had shown you today to do. Follow it step for step, copy it, and make sure that you're not just looking at what I'm showing you, that you can actually do it. And do it a second time, and do it a third time. Do it again and again and again, and then you will get better at it. And as you try out new things, you will begin to develop your own style. This is a primer on WordPress, so there are so many things that we didn't cover here. I didn't show you how you can set up your header at the top with your own logo and your own menu. I haven't shown you how to do a blog, because blogs are very different in WordPress, which includes dynamic content. We didn't look at the footer. We didn't look at how you can link these buttons to take you actually somewhere on your site. And I didn't show you how to set up the form so that when people actually send you a message, you actually get it. Currently, this is just a dead page. It's just a mock-up, and you can show it to your client. What will happen then is you will then change the photos, you will change the text, and you will change the colors and the fonts according to what the client wants. But we have looked at the most important parts of WordPress, starting with it. There are themes. You need a theme. You can change the theme, and no theme is the same to the next one. From this, you can create pages to build out your site. You make a page for a home page, you assign it, and you build it out with WordPress blocks in the Gutenberg WordPress editor. If you don't like the blocks in the WordPress, you go and you find a third party like we had done with Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg, which is the same people who make the Astra theme. Then for the form I had shown you, you go to the plugin repository, you find WP Forms, you bring it in, and you set up a very easy form. Practice, practice, practice. Make sure that you give us a like if you just found something useful or at least entertaining in this site. It's a lot of hard work to get to this point. It's hours of frustration and then recording and then putting it online. So we really appreciate the feedback. Make sure you also subscribe to our channel. And here is something very interesting. If you are interested in a totally different platform to WordPress, we have a tutorial called Brizy Cloud. And this is a one-pager on how you can create a full page for totally free. You're not going to pay 1 cent in Brizy Cloud. Click on this link and it will take you to that tutorial, and you can see a different world to that of WordPress. This is JP signing off.